What's up everybody, this is Yeeflex and this is the behind the scenes video for The Rider. So in this video I'm going to be talking about the song overall, so I'm going to be talking about the percussion I used, the instruments I used, the structure of the song, and the song overall conception of how it came to be. So sit back and enjoy the video. So first off, I'm going to go into the main synth, which is what my friends usually talk to me about or ask me about. They usually say like, hey man, what type of guitar is that? Because that sounds like a real guitar. Oddly enough, I tell them it's a synth guitar. And they can't believe it. They think I play guitar, but I don't think I play guitar that well. So the guitar balladeer is the main lead sound. I tried a couple guitars that are in the song that I'll get to later, but this guitar just sounded the best out of all of them, so I went with the balladeer, and I'll let you listen and you'll probably see why. It just sounds super clean. I mean, there was some EQing applied to it, but the sound just is super clean when you EQ it right, so it was just the perfect sound for the lead. And as you notice, this section in the break, the lead is in the first octave. Now what I normally like to do in terms of my techniques for leads is in the breaks or the build-ups, I normally like to have the lead at the lower octaves, and then I like to raise the lead an octave up when it drops. The reason I do that is because when I usually create drops, I usually add more mid-low end sounds, so I have to push the lead up a little bit for people to hear it, or for me to hear it. I don't always do that for every lead though, because certain sounds can't go up that high, or the more you raise, the higher octaves you raise them, the more sounds they lose. So I do it for the sound that I kind of test the sound to see what its limits are. So that is the balladeer. The next thing I'm going to talk about is the intro section. So the intro section in the original Rider didn't exist from measure 1 to measure 9. This was kind of an afterthought when I redid the Rider. So the story behind that is I released the first version of the Rider about 3 years ago, and then shortly after that, like 2 months after that, I wanted to do a VIP version of the song because I just didn't like the mix. So I worked on the VIP mix and ended up re-releasing the Rider, but I didn't put VIP mix on it because it was so similar to the original that it didn't really need it. So I just included the introduction here. So the introduction is pretty simple. It's snares that hit on every other beat and then they build up, and then it's hi-hats, which are like rolling hi-hats, and then they build up. There's also the balladeer playing on every other measure just to introduce the lead, and then there's some choir sounds. So that was pretty much the introduction in a nutshell. So the second part, or the next part I want to get to, is the breakdown in the second drop. So this part is really cool because this is the first time I've ever done a call and response in a song. And for those of you that don't know what a call and response is, it's basically when one instrument plays one part of the melody and a different instrument plays a part of the melody. It could either be the same melody or a different melody, but as long as two different instruments are playing, then it's like a call and response. So example would be like this. So basically you have the Evil Eddie, which is a electric guitar, and then the clav P, which is like a funky sounding guitar, playing the bass note, and then you have the balladeer playing the lead. Now that's a good technique that's been used for many songs. You can use that in your songs if you want to create more variety within your song. I don't use it as often as I should, but I think I will include it more in future songs. But for the moment, this is the only song that I've done it with. And the next thing I want to talk about is this lead here. I call it the second lead. It sounds like this. So that's the second lead. It sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on, but when you compare it to it playing with the acoustic guitar, it's not too bad because some of the notes are the same, so they kind of converge on the same notes, so it doesn't sound too bad. But in the original version of the Rider, I had a different sound put in here, and that sound conflicted a lot with the main guitar sound, the balladeer, so I switched the original sound to a massive sound, and then I put this lead into the background, and I put the balladeer more in the forefront because I want to focus the attention more on the guitar than the synth lead. And the last thing I want to show you guys is the percussion. So initially the percussion is what drove the song. I initially threw in a drum loop into the song and had the balladeer kind of play to that. So I was writing the notes according to the drum loop, and the drum loop was basically a stock drum loop from one of my samples, and I just threw it in, and it sounded kind of like a horse galloping. It sounded like cha-chung, cha-chung. And that sounded pretty cool because it gave the song a different type of feel. At the time I was doing a lot of house. I was trying to break away from house, so that was a lot of 4/4 beats, so it was really kind of a boring drum pattern, and that one was pretty exciting. So I tried doing that, but at the time I wasn't skilled enough to dissect the sample and reconstruct it. So when I got a little bit more practice making drum and bass, I made more of a drum and bass pattern, as you can hear. Which isn't bad, it's just not as creative as I could have been, but at the time my skill limited me to not be able to do intricate beats. So those are the components that I want to touch upon, and now I'm just going to talk about why I created this song. So the story on how I created the song is pretty cool because one day I was listening to a song by Montoya called Can You Feel Me, featuring the vocalist Nathan Brumley. I worked with him once before, so I just wanted to see what this song sounded like, and man, Montoya did a great job because his song was basically a mix of drum and bass with metal, but with a vocalist. So in retrospect, it basically sounded like a song that could fit in like an anime, which was cool because that's what I want to do, is make kind of like theme music. So I tried plugging in guitars like the Evil Eddie and as the lead of the song, but it didn't work. So then I tried to do it as chords, but it didn't work, so I used it on off notes, and I put in the clav P, the funky guitar here, and it just sounded better as a bass guitar, so I left it as that, and the balladeer came through. But at the end of the day, even though I didn't achieve like a metal drum and bass song, this song still came out with the same result, sounding like a Western theme song. So I really can't complain there, and I really don't, because this is a really catchy song. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. So take care. Bye.